Over 80% of adults carry some form of debt, from credit cards to personal loans to mortgages. Nearly half admit they don't know how they'll ever pay it off. Most believe they're in control, but the reality is harsher. Debt isn't just a tool, they are being used by it. By the end of this video, it will be clear why so many people stay trapped for years, and how the system quietly makes it nearly impossible to escape. Debt was rare and almost taboo. People only borrowed for survival or extreme opportunity, bad harvests, wars, or business ventures. Today, debt is everywhere. Student loans at 18, credit cards at 19, car loans before your first paycheck, mortgages before you know yourself. It feels like opportunity, not a trap, but in reality, it quietly chains your future to payments you barely understand. "I can afford the payment" sounds harmless, even responsible, but it's the foundation of modern financial captivity. Focusing on monthly payments, not total cost, risk, or opportunity, trains you to think like a renter of your own life. Banks, lenders, and corporations profit from this. Once conditioned to see only short-term numbers, you're vulnerable to almost any financial trap. Every loan has four players: you, the borrower, the seller pushing a lifestyle or product, the lender profiting from your payments, and time, the silent enforcer. Debt isn't just money, it's pre-selling years of your life. Most never calculate how much of themselves they've already committed. By the time they realize it, interest has compounded, debt has grown, and freedom has slipped away. Debt accumulates slowly. $120 here, $300 there. Each payment seems manageable, but together they form a ceiling. As income rises, debt capacity rises too, keeping you trapped. You never feel truly wealthy, just slightly less stressed. High earners live paycheck to paycheck, not due to low income, but because future earnings are already claimed, silently chipping away at freedom without you noticing. Most debt isn't sudden, it's climbed step by step. "This will help me get ahead. It's temporary, I'll pay it later. I need another loan." Eventually, the ladder becomes a cage. Debt anchors baseline expenses, removing flexibility. You can't quit a job you hate, take risks, or survive a missed paycheck. It's not poor discipline, it's lost margin. Debt narrows choices until freedom is traded for temporary progress. People argue about good and bad debt. The real danger isn't interest rate or category, it's cash flow. Debt that forces you to work just to break even isn't leverage, it's a leash. Longer terms tighten it further. Debt-consuming time and energy silently dictates life. You may feel productive, but chains tighten each month. What seems like a step forward quietly erodes your options. Long-term loans. 72, 84, 96 months exist to numb the pain. Stretch payments far enough, and the cost stops feeling real. Relief masks reality. Relief hides erosion of freedom. While sedated, interest compounds, debt grows, and decisions are postponed. By the time you realize it, a manageable monthly payment has become a long-term burden, consuming years of life without conscious awareness of the trap you've stepped into. $1,200 a month in debt seems normal car, credit cards, student loans. Most shrug, but imagine investing it instead. Over 30 years, modest returns could generate millions. Debt doesn't just cost money, it steals options. It pre-sells labor, blocks investment, limits risk-taking, and quietly destroys decades of wealth-building potential. The compounding isn't only interest, it's opportunity lost and freedom traded for immediate gratification. Debt exploits emotion, fear, shame, status, convenience. We borrow to avoid discomfort, keep up, and feel safe. Society reinforces it. When everyone around carries debt, it seems normal like adulthood. Traps hidden in culture, peers, and marketing make poor financial choices feel rational. Debt spreads quietly, generation to generation, leaving people believing freedom depends on borrowed money rather than earned options. If this sounds familiar, pause for a second. Debt impacts people every day, and understanding it is the first step to escaping it. Subscribe for more insights on managing your money, and leave a comment sharing your own experiences or the tricks you've seen your story could help someone else break free. Debt creates financial inertia. The more payments you have, the harder it is to change direction. Every decision becomes defensive, not strategic. You stop asking, "What do I want my life to look like?" and start asking, "How do I survive the next 30 days?" That's not planning, it's triage. Debt shifts focus from opportunity to survival. making escape feel impossible even when it isn't. Negative equity isn't just a finance term, owe more than something is worth. Life equity works the same way. When obligations exceed your energy, time, and freedom, you're underwater, even with a perfect credit score. You might look successful on paper while being trapped in reality. Obligations quietly consume your life, leaving you financially and emotionally constrained despite appearances of stability. Debt-free people are unpredictable. They can walk away, negotiate, and say no. They aren't forced to tolerate bad bosses, bad contracts, or poor deals. That's why debt is normalized. A population in debt is easier to manage than a population with options. Systems profit when people stay tied to obligations and payments, limiting freedom and making compliance simple. Freedom challenges the status quo. Escaping debt isn't about perfection. It isn't about never borrowing again or living like a monk. It's about reclaiming margin in time, income, and mind. Once space exists between what you earn and what you owe, your perspective shifts. Debt stops dictating life, and freedom grows quietly. With margin, decisions become strategic, options reopen, and control over your own future returns. Escape is about space, not austerity. Before you ever sign on the dotted line or swipe your card for another loan, there's one question you must ask yourself, and it has the power to completely change the way you think about money and debt. If my income stopped for 6 months, would taking on this debt destroy me? Think about it for a moment. Really imagine what your life would look like if the money you rely on simply wasn't coming in. If the answer is yes, if you would struggle just to keep food on the table, cover bills, or avoid dipping into emergency savings, then what you're looking at isn't leverage. It's exposure, a risk disguised as opportunity. True leverage empowers you. It doesn't threaten your survival. Understanding this distinction is the first step toward breaking free from the financial traps most people fall into without even realizing it. The truth about escaping debt? It's unglamorous. It's not flashy, not Instagram-worthy, and far from exciting. The path requires discipline, delayed gratification, and the ability to control your ego. It demands saying no to things that feel deserved or urgent. You won't post it for likes. You won't get immediate recognition. But here's the secret. Boring works. Quietly, methodically, it builds freedom. Every no, every smart choice, every extra dollar toward your debt isn't just a small win, it's a brick in the foundation of financial independence. Boring is where power lives. When you finally make your last payment on a big debt, nothing spectacular happens. No fireworks, no applause, no dramatic moment of celebration. And yet, something quietly shifts beneath the surface. Your money is no longer pre-assigned to someone else's interest. Your future is no longer mortgaged to lenders or bills. The baseline stress you've been carrying every day begins to fade. Suddenly, opportunities appear that were impossible before. This is the moment when true wealth begins not in flashy wins, but in freedom, control, and the power to decide your own financial destiny. Remember that tight chest, the ping of a notification, the looming payment? That feeling isn't really about money. It's about control, or the lack of it. Debt feels dangerous because deep down, you know it's calling the shots for you. Every payment, every interest fee is a reminder that it's running your life. But the moment you stop letting it dictate your choices, something shifts. You don't just escape the numbers on a page. You reclaim your freedom, your agency, and the ability to decide your own financial future. If this video gave you a new perspective on debt and you're starting to see how dangerous it can be when used the wrong way, take a moment to subscribe. This channel is all about giving you the tools and strategies to take control of your finances and make smarter choices with money so you don't end up trapped in a cycle that lasts for years. Hit subscribe and start staying one step ahead of debt today.